Okay, who's ready for the June repot with me? I asked a few of you to send me some questions, some discussion topics, and you did not disappoint. So stick around with me and let's repot some plants at the beginning of summer. Hi, my name is Memo. This is my channel, Houseplantygoodness, and essentially it's a place where I like to geek out about my big passion. You might be able to see it behind me. It's tropical houseplants. So yes, repot time. Oh my god, you guys did not disappoint when it came to questions and comments. I am so looking forward to sitting down and having a chat with you. It feels like it's been far too long, but it's that time of the year, talks, things like that. The allotment is taking off, the garden is taking off, in here everything is taking off, but I am preaching to the choir. If you are my usual audience, you know the pain. Also, I saw a few comments from Australia that were finding it really weird that I was wearing like a singlet or a tank top thing in my previous video because it's now winter for them. I get you, I understand. Bear with us, it's our summer now, and we spent most of our winter looking at you all having the time of your life in what was your summer, so I'll go now. Let me scoot you all down and let's start the repot and chat with me. Okay, we're back down to the really unattractive angles. Yay! Before I get into the repot with me, I wanted to give you some updates because I know way back when, a couple of months ago now, when I was starting some seeds and bulbs. So this, at the moment, is the current state of play on the tuberose bulbs. These took forever to activate and start growing, and they're not the fastest thing in the world, but they might not look like much now. They will get a flower spike in the middle with loads of white blooms in the middle, and apparently the whole neighborhood will smell divine when these bloom. So I am looking forward to them. They have only just gone out into my unheated greenhouse. They are in a cactus mix because people might think these are tropical plants, but they are from relatively arid locations. So they don't need an awful lot of moisture. They have a propensity to rot quite quickly, which is quite interesting because when you look at something like this, you're just like, it's a bulb, and usually you think bulbs and you think, oh, what, they need to be kind of evenly moist all the time. These are examples of not that. I've also given them a tower pot, which gives them even more aeration. So really excited to see if I can get these to bloom. These are notoriously difficult to bloom, let alone in the UK. So fingers crossed for me that I can get these to bloom. But yes, this is doing quite well. And then the other plant that you might be able to see here, this is doing really well. It's like exploded in growth since I put it out in the unheated greenhouse, is, and I will show it to you a bit closer, might not look like very much right now. This is the pepino melon. This is the one that's related to tomatoes, so it's part of the nightshade family. Also related to eggplants, aubergines, potatoes, all of these things. But this grows something that looks very much like a little kind of handheld melon. And apparently it's supposed to taste something between a melon and a cucumber. So it's somewhere between a fruit and vegetable. I've got quite a few of these because apparently they just took a very long time. They was like about this big for a very long period of time, and all of this growth has happened in about 2 weeks that I've put them out in the greenhouse. So I've got high hopes that I might get blooms and fruit on these. It might be underwhelming. I might end up trying it and just go, this wasn't worth the effort of all of it. But you know what? I'm all about trying new things. So this is doing really well. Also, and let me put that down. Also, and I've got some images that I will put somewhere within the screen now to give you some updates on some of the other tropical plants that I'm growing that are edible. as well in my garden this year. So Chilean or Peruvian guava, I can never remember. This surprised me. This is really, really cool. It kind of grows a bit like a boxus. It's very, very small, very compact. It doesn't grow very large. It is covered in berries. And this is the one that looks a bit like a red version of a blueberry. And hopefully the picture, you're starting to see the blush coming in of how red it's going to eventually turn. And this is an interesting one because when it's red, it's unripe. When it goes white again is when it's ripe. And it tastes, I think, something between a guava and a pineapple, very, very small. But this is a very cool plant because it's not skipped a beat in the UK. It can take a bit of shade as well, which is good. And super easy to propagate. You just chop off because it can grow a bit. Chop it off, root it out, and you've got more of this. And it will grow quite prolifically. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of Queen Victoria's favourite fruit, but it's got lost to the ether of time, and it grows quite nicely. And if this can create a little mini hedge somewhere, which is decorative, and it's also edible at the same time, bonus. The other big thing is my pineapple guava. Any of the people from New Zealand that watch this video, I got myself a feijoa. So I'm hoping it's got new leaves coming in. I spent a bit of money and I got a very established one because I wanted to see if I can get fruit in the first year. I'm still not entirely sure if I will. But I've got bloom buds that are starting soon, so fingers crossed for me. And I will be, my friends are always taking the piss out of me because I'm sitting there going, they're just like, are you going to pretend to be a bee? And I'm just like, yes, I'm off. It's me with a little paintbrush or Q-tip going bzzz, and hand pollinating some of these things, just because I want to see them fruit at least once. After that, I'm less fussed. The bees will do their own thing, but I want to guarantee at least a few fruit. But yes, very excited about the feijoa, mainly because I've heard so many good things. This is a person who has never tried a feijoa. My favorite fruit, however, is an actual guava. So, and considering how much any person that I know from New Zealand raves about this plant, I'm just like, you know what, I need to try. So the feijoa is doing well as well. Right, let's get on with the repot. So, let me get the questions up as well, just because you all did not disappoint with the questions this time around and the discussion topics. Let me start with the first question, because there's a few to get through. I've done the usual thing as I usually do in this video. All the planty questions will be first and all the personal ones towards the end. If you're not interested in the personal ones, you can skip that altogether. But let's start. Okay. There's the first one. Right. No particular order. Some of these were from YouTube, some of these were from Instagram. So the first one is, if I had to choose right now which plants I currently own would I marry, and they explain have for the rest of my life and will be there with me all the way up to my deathbed, and B, kill, burn with the light of 1,000 suns. From my current collections? Oh, from my current collections. Okay, so I'm a broken record. The one that I want to take with me for the rest of my life is going to be my big, and actually that's the anthurium part of it. This is the Philodendron esmeraldens. It is my MVP, it is my ride or die plant that is coming with me all the way to my deathbed. That's a nice and easy one. Kill. Oh, my pink princess that I've only got for display purposes at this point. Mainly to poo-poo on every time I do a video. That's an easy one, pink princess. Because the question said currently. If it wasn't currently, it would have been the Philodendron lupinum. But I killed that without any regret. After trying to grow it for years and it did nothing. So underwhelming. Sorry. People that have been here for a while, they know I get into a bit of a huff when I talk about the lupinum, so no. Right, let's actually start the repot now. So I've got a few things that I want to repot. one of the first things is this. So this was Hoya China beans, and a lot of you were saying it's probably not a Hoya, it's probably a Dischidia. I would want to agree. This has had some blooms on it. They don't look like Hoya blooms. It's not necessary that they're not, but this has also struggled with mealybugs the same way the Hoyas do for the longest period of time. This has got sprayed down again today. Ooh, there's got even more blooms. So what I'm going to try and do with this one, because it's not getting the best of light, and I want to see if I can actually grow it. It's grown okay, by the way. It's grown all right. I want to see if I can grow this epiphytically, because if this is a Dischidia, it will do well epiphytically. And I've also still got one remaining unused mount that I want to use. Right. I should probably clean it out, but you can kind of see this is the mount. I don't know if I'm trying to remember if there is a question about mounting. I thought there was one. I might be wrong. Maybe not. Maybe not. Ignore me altogether. But I know there's a few people that have asked about mounts. Maybe it was one of the comments on a video. So I can do a video on mounting if you really want me to. Just let me know in the comments down below and I can do that. But these are the mounts that I 3D print, so I kind of use these all of the time. So let me grab some soil and I'll be back. Okay, I've got most of the bits that I need. And for this mount, I am going to be using Soil Ninja's cactus mix. Believe it or not, because I've actually found both my Dischidias and my Hoyas do so well in a cactus mix. Ironically enough, anything, even like tropical houseplant mixes, are just a tiny bit too dense for them. So I find that that kind of faster drying out media generally does better. Let me get, so this actually had an awful lot of soil that was not being used. It might have even had some root rot at some point. So this is about due for getting slightly better living conditions. If I'm being honest, this is kind of, it was one that I think was going to die off at some point, but it seems to have got a second lease of life at the moment. So I am willing to go with it. It's got some healthy roots. Maybe you might be able to see that. So I've got some hopes that this is going to do okay. So let me get rid of that. What's the next question? What is the top of my wish list right now, and why, if budgets were out of the window, which one would it be? Interesting, because I didn't think about the budget elements of this. I would go for bigger rather than something specific. So I would actually go for a large and established Anthurium wendlingerii with the corkscrew inflorescence. I am super here for that. So that would be my answer for that. It's nice and easy, actually. If budget wasn't a concern and I had all the money in the world, wouldn't that be nice? That would be the one thing that I would want to get and grow, essentially. I've obviously got the more juvenile form still. It's doing okay. I've nowhere near an inflorescence on that one. There was another question that I'll kind of quickly hearken to now because it's related about any of my strap leaf anthuriums and whether or not they've got any inflorescences. Not currently. It doesn't mean that they're not going to. I think my Vitarifolium that is behind me there did have an inflorescence. I very rarely remember when they got an inflorescence because literally the moment that I see it is the moment that I immediately take it off. So that is something to bear in mind there. I've propagated it, I've pollinated it a few years back and I had some seedlings from it and I didn't know what to do with it, and I've still got 1 or 2 hanging around. So I don't want to be doing that again in a hurry. I'm trying to think now, have any of them got them currently? No, but actually no. My Frederick Starley had it recently within the last month, and my Anthurium pendants as well, that had it recently as well. So, yes, I have had a few to answer that question. So I have done the bit. Let me see about putting on some sphagnum moss, and then I can kind of wire it in. Let's have a look at another question as well. So next question is, I'm starting to dip my toes into orchids at the moment, and I have my eyes set on the Phalaenopsis schilleriana. I'll put the name at the top there. I butchered that 100%. By the way, I had never heard of it before. Thank you for the comment. It gave me a chance to Google it. So cool, so cool. You say obviously beautiful leaves and pretty blooms, but it's still a Phalaenopsis. Which orchid would I recommend to a beginner that isn't a common Phalaenopsis and that doesn't need to be mounted space issues? Okay, so that isn't a Phalaenopsis. I would say a Paphipetalum. If you can get them in the shops, so much the better. I am much more aware of the Paphipetalum of it all after my video that I did with Fraser, who's out in the Far East and dealing with conservation and plant hunters. I did not know that a lot of the Paphipetalums are on the CITES Index 1 or Index 2, I think, so they're very much problematic. The ones that are already in the big stores, or at least plant stores, they're probably okay. At least they're not they're not a current or recent issue from nature. But be very careful of them. But I have found them to be exceptionally easy and forgiving. The other one is Dendrobiums as well. They could quite happily grow in a pot. Oh. And I cannot remember now my big one. I'll put it at the top there. That one is also going to live in the garden for the summer because it kind of enjoys summering outside, and it gets massive blooms. Space, if space is an issue, but not the mounting space, but actually you have space for a pot, that might be a good one, but it does get quite large. I cannot remember the name. I'll put it somewhere at the top there. But that's a good one. That's super easy. I've not had any real issues with it at all. So hopefully that answers your question. Ugh, why am I not getting this off? There we go. Right, let's have a look at the next question. Most of these questions are the same user, by the way, which I thought was hysterical. It was great. Next one is, knock knock, the Grim Reaper is at your door and they're astounded by your collection. They say you can choose 3 plants to take with you to the afterlife that will never change, but be frozen in time exactly how they are now. Which 3 am I choosing? Oh. You all never disappoint when it comes to really cool questions that I need to kind of think about, and I'd never have even thought about it in that way. So the one is obviously going to be the Philodendron esmeraldense, mainly because if it stays as it is now, it's still a huge plant. So that is 100% coming with me. The next, and I'm trying to look around my space, it's going to be the big things. My Anthurium veitchii, because it is large and in charge. You can see where I'm going with this. And then, as it is currently, this is the thing that's stumping me, because not everything is looking as fantastic as it would do. My normal choice here would be I'd want to take a begonia with me, and I would take the begonia melanobulata, because those leaves are awesome, but it's doing its usual thing that it does at this time of the year, where it's thrown a wobbly in the winter and it's just about to bounce back now, and it's already bouncing back, but it's still not looking 100%, so that's the reason why I wouldn't choose that right now. What else? What would I take? As it is currently, this is such a good question. My begonia bravuramosa, there we go, there's a begonia for you. Mainly because it is at that time of the year now where it's stanking huge. If I was to choose something else as well, it would probably be my Hoya australis lisa, because it is looking particularly stunning at the moment. But yeah, I think those are my answers. Apologies for not looking at the camera, it's just this is a bit fiddly, this bit. Anybody that was with me at Malvern for the workshop, they know when you're trying to do the fishing line, it needs a bit of attention, so apologies. This is also very, very dangly, so I'm trying to not like grab leaves when I'm doing this, so I don't like destroy them by bringing them all in. Right, that's that one there as well. If I go here and I go there, if I still not cut off enough, yeah, I still haven't cut off enough. This is the only risk when you do these things, is that there's never enough fishing line to, and I was just like, oh, I've cut off more than enough, I'm gonna have loads left over. No, it's still not enough. Sorry about the mumbling. I don't know if anybody else does that when you're doing things and you kind of mumble to yourself. I'm a mumbler. I always have been. What's the expression as well? They're just like, oh, you're talking to yourself. It's the first sign of madness. Oh, honey. There were so many signs of madness before the mumbling to myself, I can't even count. Right, that's going to have to be good enough, I think. Yeah, that's all right. I'm missing one of the little peg things, but there you go. A mounted, likely Dischidia rather than Hoya. So this one I'm interested to see how it's going to do now that it is actually mounted. And hopefully its roots can start re-establishing itself as well, because it wasn't doing particularly well. Right, let me put this down and let's go on to the next question. Sphagnum moss everywhere. Next question is, I would like to know what I do when I have thrips in my jungle. This person has tried beneficials, the Swirsky mites, and Chrysoperla carnea. Wow. You thought plant names are difficult. Try like bug names. But it looks like it's not enough. Which is, this person's a bit sad because they keep finding larvae or adults and it's a bit depressing. I get it. I do get it. I get it. Big collective group hug for the person who's going through thrip dramas at the moment. Most of us have been there. We get it. We really do. It does get better, and it's not as big as it might seem. Eventually, you'll get to that stage. Not to diminish what you're going through right now, but the thing that I would say is just consistency rather than anything else. So with the beneficials that you're using, are you replacing them every 2 to 3 weeks? Be honest. Because there's a lot of us that are just like, I've put them on, and you think it's one and done, and it's not sometimes, and it's expensive. That's why most people don't want to do it every 2 to 3 weeks. But if you've got a severe infestation, you're probably going to need to do that. The other thing that I found works okay, I don't know if I can bring it up. No, because it's going to stick to me. Maybe, hold on. Blue sticky traps instead of yellow sticky traps for thrip adults, because that will stick onto them there. And just consistency, that's the biggest thing that I can say. Do it more. like whatever you're doing, if you're not doing the beneficials, or if you can't do the beneficials every 2 to 3 weeks, the other thing with beneficials is the satchels are more of a preventative rather than a curative. Anything that needs to be curative, you need to get the loose bugs essentially, and then have them, I would suggest these little boxes, if you can see that in the video, because you can put them in there and then they will disseminate rather than trying to sprinkle them onto your plants and you've got sprinkly bits on all your plants. It's a pain in the ass. Do that a couple of times every like 2 or 3 weeks, and then have the preventative, and eventually you will start seeing it diminish. You'll see them for a long time before you stop seeing them, if that makes sense. It doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't working. And if you're going to do anything like spraying them, like Prevanto has always worked for me. I try not to do Prevanto because they can get tolerance to it through the generations if they go quite quickly and they proliferate within your space. But it's consistency. It's remembering to redo whatever you're doing every 2 to 3 weeks, and it will get better, I promise. That's my biggest tip for you there. Update on strap leaf and Anthurium. So the Pterophyllum is doing great. Got loads of new leaves coming through. Is that pests? No, not pests. Ignore me altogether. Then the Wendlingerii is doing really, really, really good. The Lutheri, not the Lutheri, I'll come back to the Lutheri. The Frederiksdalii is doing well, and the Pendants is doing well. The Lutheri that I was just talking about is now with the compost gods, because it was looking like it was going to bounce back, and then it took a nosedive again, and then it looked like it was going to come back, and it took a nosedive again, and this all happened within the span of about a month or two, and I'm just like, you are on your last leaf, and you are beyond being on my last nerve. Done. That one's finished. I'm not trying that one again, sadly. But yeah, no, I'm not going to be doing that one again in a hurry. I know for a few of you, it's one of your favorite plants. I am not throwing shade at all. It just didn't work for me. I am so proud and happy of you that it works for you, but it just didn't work for me. Not all plants will work for everybody. Simple as that. But let's move on to let's move on to the next repot. And this one, let me get another little container. Oh. This is, and I'm going up a considerable size up because I know that this plant can take it. This is my Colocasia, very small Pharaoh's mask, but this is very much like going around and around the pot, and this should do okay in a newer, bigger pot because this is also going to go and live outside and it gets roots like mad. So I'm going to be a bit careful with this and hopefully not destroy all of its roots. But yeah, this is one of many similar looking plants that are going to get repotted today because they have just got a bit too big for their spaces. So hopefully without destroying most of the roots. No, it's doing okay. It's doing okay. There's some good like circling around the soil that is happening right there. So this should be okay. The reason why I'm putting it in a much bigger pot in one go, do as I say, don't do as I do, is because this is a plant that I found was very, very thirsty, especially when it was outside. So, and with this one, I am just going to use straight up Houseplant, the generic Houseplant mix from Soil Ninja. So, just because I know that it will be more than fine for this plant. I've got some slow release fertilizer pellets that I'm going to use in there as well. Oops, there we go. That's what happens with the fans. Apologies if my sound sometimes sounds a bit weird on some of my videos. It is because I've always got the fans going, and yes, I could switch off the fans when I'm filming, but at the same time I find it kind of like I've come into the house of my plants where they grow and thrive, and I know it won't cause them any harm. It's just my weird kind of like way of thinking of it, and I'm just like, you don't go into other people's houses and just go, I don't like the fact that your lights are on. I'm gonna switch them off because it's hurting my eyes. You can ask your host if that's okay, but yeah, so I find it really weird, and I'm just like, no. The fans are here all day long, and they need to be working on my plants. I'm only here briefly to do the filming. I need to kind of adapt to the house rules. In this case, the house rules being that plants need the airflow, especially at this time of the year. And also, to be honest, at this time of the year, I need the airflow from all directions because this place gets really, really hot. I am filming today on a Saturday where we're meant to have a whole bunch of thunderstorms, mainly because I need to have my Sunday free. People that know usually know that I film on a Sunday, because it's going to be the only day this weekend that's going to be a bit drier, and I've got so much weeding to do with the allotment. And I'm not doing that in the pissing rain. No. I am not for that life. But yes, this is now a potted. Right, let's have a look. What's the next question? Mumble. I'm still mumbling. Story of my life. Right, where is it? Oh, the Strapleaf update that was needed was the one that was asking about the inflorescences. So yes, I did answer that a minute ago. Somebody was just like, plant suggestions for high shelves near the ceiling. Oh, I like this. So, big thing, and I was just talking about this, strapleaf anthuriums. Any strapleaf anthurium is going to do really, really well because there's not much that's happening at the top of the pot. So I'm trying to find a pot. So because it drops down there, there's nothing really going on up here. So it doesn't need the light. And the leaves will go down. So it means as long as it's getting light that's coming towards its leaves, you're fine. So strapleaf anthuriums are very, very good. Anything that dangles generally will be good. Just make sure that it's weighted enough, because otherwise if it gets big enough, you're gonna end up with that plant on top of your head at some point. If you do have something like a skylight, the plant can go upwards as well, then, ooh, that is a good question. At that point, you just do several plants, basically. You do the ones that will crawl downwards so they can get the light that's coming in, but not from above. And then have some of the plants that, oh, actually, yeah, if you've got a skylight very high and you've got high shelves, it's going to be probably quite bright. So you can get some of your plants that are used to brighter light, but still maybe need some humidity. If you're not particularly humid, that's a great place for your cacti and succulents, if you've got a skylight. If you don't, then something that's hanging and dangling. So another one that could be good is, and I find that if it doesn't grow quite tall, the veitchii can. The philodendron patriciae, it will need some height, but it does dangle a bit. So as long as you get it on maybe just a slightly lower shelf, that should be okay without it getting too tall. And anything that's a trailer, really. Anything that's a trailer. Is it the Rhaphidophora hongkongensis or the Scindapsus hongkongensis? I think it's Rhaphidophora hongkongensis. Oh, that one. If you can find it, really, really good. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's that time of the year where we all get like really weird kind of things to deal with because there's so much growth that's happening. The question that this person has is, and it's kind of relevant actually now, is what do I do with a rotting alocasia? This would apply for alocasias, caladiums, colocasia, all of those tuberosy type plants. And actually, ironically enough, I've got 2 caladiums that I need to repot. So, and these I'm going to keep in just one size up rather than 2 sizes up. They don't need that. So it depends really. Like, I don't even have anything that looks like a tuber to show you. So imagine that my fist is the tuber, yes? if it's fully rotted and it's lost all of its leaves and you've just got the tuber, first thing to do is check, is that tuber still hard? If it's entirely mush, you're done. There's nothing you can do further for that plant. If you've got a relatively large tuber, so something that's about this big, for instance, if this part is fully rotted, remove that entirely, use a knife, use a clean sterilized knife, and remove up to the point where there's no longer mush. Then what I would do is I would just leave it out. Just leave it out of soil, out of everything, in air for a day or two. You might lose some of the leaves, they might crisp up, they might look, I mean, by that point, if you've lost that much of the tuber, you probably lost most of the leaves anyway. Let it fully dry out. And then replant that into the soil. It needs to be very fluffy because there will be more of a propensity towards rot again. And be very careful with the watering because obviously there's got no leaves, it will have to restart again. But if you've got enough of tuber, and alocasias, colocasias can get quite sizable if you've been growing them for years, you should still be fine. There should be other bits which could activate and the whole thing can start off again. And I'm really sorry that you're going through that. It's not nice when it happens. However, if you are in the northern hemisphere and you are coming up to your summer the same way that we are, the same way that I am, you should be fine. This is the right time for you to be doing this. If it's winter time, it's slightly trickier. If it's winter time, I would almost recommend that you let it fully dry out and just leave it out of soil for now, and try again as if you're planting it as a fresh tuber in the spring. That makes sense. Okay, the next one, as I said, is a caladium, and it's a caladium white queen, or and I can never remember the name that I bought it under, but I think it looks like the white queen if I'm not kind of lying to you. But this is the one that kind of did eventually go into dormancy over winter. And look at it, it's come back with a vengeance. But this pot is about the right size. I just want to give it a bit more depth to go in. So this one. And with this, yeah, this is going to just go into regular houseplant soil mix. It seems to do all right for this plant. So, yes, let me just do this. Okay. Let me just potentially answer the next question as well. This was a good question. This is a valid question. So do I ever think I'll ever do a plant styling, decorating video? This person would love to see plant creators do videos like this. I get it. The honest answer is it's probably not going to come from me, if that makes sense. I did a lot more of that when I was first starting with plants. And if I'm being very blunt, it is because I had the space. I don't have the space now to be able to do that easily. It's also something that over the years of growing plants, it's become less important to me, if that makes sense. Obviously I do like things to look pretty, but for me, a lot of the times I don't care if they look a bit messy. I mean, look at it. As long as things are growing happily. And that's my main concern, is because sometimes I found that invariably when you're doing style choices for your plants, you might be making certain decisions more for the stylistic elements of the plant rather than, not always, and this is not throwing shade on anybody who does do that and enjoy doing that, but a lot of the times the style element might end up taking center stage over the care element, depending on what you're trying to achieve. And as I said, it's valid depending on what you want to do. But for me, it's not how I want to grow the plants. I want care and them being able to live their best lives as if they were still in nature, over something that's aesthetically pleasing for me. Now, what does this mean generally? Does it mean that I wouldn't want things to be aesthetically pleasing? No, if I can still get something that's aesthetically pleasing and stylish without sacrificing plant care, 100% I'm going to do that. Is it a type of content that I would do because it comes naturally to me? No, but there are loads of like really good YouTubers out there that do a lot of that, and they do that really, really well. Yeah, those will probably be the ones that you're probably going to see that a bit more. Maybe kind of like reach out to them and say, you know what, could you please? And it's really, really cool, because most of them would love to do that. They live and die for opportunities to be able to do some plant styling. But yeah, I'm sorry. Hopefully that's not a bad answer. I don't mean to be offensive to anybody. Neither the person who's questioned it or anybody else who does it. It's just not for me. But as I said, there is something for everybody, and everybody does things their own way, which is part of what makes this hobby so much fun. Right, next question. Was that the last planty one? Oh, that was the last planty one. I think. Hold on. No, it wasn't. Oh, sorry. Because I put the list already. Oh, it's the way that I've done the list. Right, so I just want to make sure that I haven't missed anybody. Let's sit in the gang. There was more questions than this. Okay. So, are there any anthuriums that require support or a moss pole? Several. I'm going to look around my space really quickly and tell you. So, Anthurium balawanum, 100% would benefit from a moss pole. Anthurium clavigerum, 100% would benefit from a moss pole. Anthurium, I cannot remember what it's called now. I'll put the name, but it's another one that's got multiple little leaflets. That would do well with a moss pole. Any other anthuriums? Anthurium aristomoides, Anthurium cuticuense. There's quite a few of them that would really benefit from climbing up. I'm assuming it's because you want ones that will be climbing, and you come back to the point that I was trying to make recently, where I'm just like, can the sellers' websites please tell us of anthuriums that need to climb rather than the ones that are self-heading that don't necessarily need a moss pole? It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get less sales. It's going to mean that you're going to get happier people because they know what they're buying. Sorry, a little bit of a bitch and a moan there. The next one, I don't know if it's a question. The person just said, my Anthurium veitchii is too big. I get it. Mine's too big too. Is this a problem? If it's a problem, maybe chop and prop it. And then, like, actually, that might end up becoming bushier. You might not want that. Maybe cut some of the lower leaves. I know. It's not something that we always think about, because a lot of people that maybe do gardening, they're just like, I'm just going to prune that. If it's too big, I'm just going to make it smaller. We don't sometimes think about that in the houseplants. But you could. It's not a problem. It will just get taller then. But you could chop and prop, basically. But it's a problem that I think a lot of people would like to have. But I do understand that it is a problem, though. So either prune it or chop and prop it. Make it smaller, basically. That's the next one. So the next one is from a fellow masochistic Greek planty person. Here. Any advice for begonia luxurians? Good question. I'm going to be completely transparent and say that that is a begonia that I have not grown before. So I am not going to be the right person to tell you specifically about that begonia. I would imagine it's a cane begonia, having seen how it grows. It is a begonia that I want, I just don't know if I've got the space for it at the moment. If it's a cane begonia, do give it some support. Believe it or not, it would appreciate that. And if you're based in Greece, be very careful with your watering. Like, it's going to need a lot more water than you think it probably will need in Greece. And then humidity as well. If you are based in Greece, please tell me it's nowhere near an aircon or nowhere in a room that has got aircon, because that's going to make it way too dry for that. It might be a good one for you to have in your kitchen or maybe even your bathroom, because it will get that supplemental humidity. And actually something like slow release fertilizer, even for begonias. I find begonias when it's this time of the year and they're really starting to kick in, they can be quite hungry. So give them some feed. I'm really sorry that I couldn't answer specifically about the begonia luxurians. I'm just trying to think, if it is a cane begonia, these are the things that I would normally do. Oh, and also give it much airier soil than you think it needs. Believe it or not, I have lost, not just in here, I have lost begonias more to rot than any other plant. And it's meant to be one that's meant to be like evenly moist all the time, and it's got very fine, like thread-like roots. I grow most of my begonias now in an anthurium soil mix. That should tell you something. So hopefully that helps. Do I see much benefit in using mycorrhizal fungi? Hi, for the person that commented this. Yes, actually. I haven't used it for a while in the house recently, but when I was using it, worked like a charm. I use it all the time at the allotment. I've been planting stuff out both the allotment and the house recently, and they have all been growing like mad since I added that in. So yes, I do find a real benefit. You just need to remember when you're repotting or when you're using the mycorrhizal fungi, I would say, they usually say that just put a tiny bit into the hole that you're going to put the plant into the soil so it makes contact with the roots. I just find that it's easier to take the bag of mycorrhizal fungi and just kind of shake it ever so slightly, dust. You've taken the plant out of the pot, say for instance this was exposed roots, and I would just sprinkle it all over the roots and then put it into wherever I'm going to put it. Like a charm. I have never regretted using mycorrhizal fungi. Never. I saw less pests with it. I saw more tolerances to weird weather, and I definitely saw great, faster growth rates basically. So yeah, 100% would recommend. Best fertilizer characteristics. Oh, I like that. So it depends on what you want to achieve with this one. And I'll pause and answer a few questions now before I repot the last plant. I would say that it depends on what you're wanting it to do. So I'll give you a specific example. So with my normal anthuriums, the ones that I'd be growing kind of here for household conditions, not household conditions, but for foliage, as long as I'm getting a balanced fertilizer, the NPK values are kind of more or less equal, that's good. Possibly something with slightly higher nitrogen is fine because that promotes more kind of the leafy growth. However, recently, I can't believe I'm saying this, I bought an Anthurium andrianum, so the more colourful anthuriums with the blooms, less so about the foliage, because I wanted it in a specific space for that reason. And I'm just like, oh, this is really weird. Watch me not be able to get a bloom on that one, and all my other anthuriums that I don't want blooms on are the ones that are going to get loads of blooms. But with something like that, I would potentially use an orchid blooming fertilizer, which has got, I think it's the P and the K values are higher, which helps to promote blooms. So that's the other thing you need to remember. The other kind of important thing is your minerals or your micronutrients that might be in something like a fertilizer. Get something that has the most amount of things that you can have in it things that might have calcium, things that might have magnesium, especially if you've got very soft water or if you're only ever watering with reverse osmosis water, distilled water, all of these things, or rainwater, they don't always have any calcium or magnesium in it, so you might get the interveinal chlorosis, which might suggest a lack of these microminerals. And if it's not coming from your fertilizer and you're not supplementing on top of that, it'd be a good idea to have it in your fertilizer, because then that can help. But just go for something that's a bit more of an all-round. If it's just for general houseplants, go for something that's a bit more all-round. A balanced fertilizer where all the NPK values are the same, with as many micronutrients and minerals within it as possible. That'd be really, really good. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on fertilizers. What are my top 5 favorite and challenging plants at the moment? So, top 5 would be, it's interesting. Let me show you at least 2 of my top 5, because they're there and I can kind of pick them up really quickly. One is this anthurium, variegated anthurium, and I cannot remember the name now for the love of me. Carrie, you were so right. This is sizing up like ridiculously fast. So I'll put the name up on the top there. So this is one. The other one is another variegated anthurium. I'm actually really enjoying my 2 variegated anthuriums. I'm showing you my 2 variegated anthuriums at the moment. They're going a bit dark because we used to have quite a bit of bright days, and now that it's gone darker again, they're kind of mellowing out. But this is the Caipirinha or Piranha, I think. The others would be, I really don't want to do all anthuriums, but I think I'm really vibing with the anthuriums at the moment. My Anthurium Frederickstalii, love that plant, love that plant. And then my Macgravia, basically, and I'll see if I can put a picture there so you can kind of see it. Very, very cool plant. Those are the top 5. What was the other one? Challenging plants. Top 5 challenging plants. That was 5, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, do you need another one for the top 5? Looking around, am I vibing with anything at the moment? No, let's not go for an anthurium. My begonia brevirosa, absolutely stinking huge at the moment. So yeah, that's one that I would have as a top 5. Struggling ones at the moment. It's annoying because I really love that plant, but I don't think it's going to make it. Philodendron Majestic at the moment, which I got from one of you lovely viewers, and it was doing really well, and this year is just, it's on the fast decline at the moment. My White Princess got chopped and propped down to a stump, and I'll show you what it's doing after a week and a half. That is after a week and a half of being chopped and propped. This is how much growth has already come. So I've got 1 active point, 2 active points, 3 active points, and there's potentially 1 here at the top 4. So doing well. Another one that is struggling because I caused the struggle, well actually it was struggling beforehand, was the Philodendron Rubrucinctum Platinum. I literally got rid of all of the leaves. This was very similar leaves to Philodendron gloriosum, but it grows upwards and it's always had pests. So I'm just like, you know what? I was going to get rid of it, but I'm just like, you know what? No. Let's get rid of all of your leaves, leave the one growing point that it is there, and let's see what happens. Let's see if you can survive. What else? What else? Struggling. Yeah, my Anthurium, and it's here, and it was coming back. It was a single leaf club. This was the Anthurium, it still is the Anthurium magnificum ex luxurians, which lost most of its leaves. It's got decent roots within the moss pole. The video that I did recently where I said the big pot with Pon, the Florida ghost that fell down, I thought it didn't manage to kill anything. It bent the one petiole that this damn plant Has anything activated in here in terms of growth? Not currently. So I don't think this is going to make it, which is such a shame, because this was such a beautiful plant. I've been trying to nurse it back to health for a while now, but I think it might be beyond help at this point in time. Yeah, there you go. You can see how pathetic that's looking, but let me put it back down. Do I need to give you another couple? Kind of looking around. I see the ones that have got problems every damn day and I forget, the Philodendron Spirit Sanctuary, that it's on its last few legs. And what else? What else is struggling? Oh, my Clavigerum, my Anthurium Clavigerum, I think is going to give up very soon, but I'm okay with that at this particular moment in time. It wasn't a plant that I really vibed with in the end. And I think that's the last of the planty questions. Let's go on to some of the more personal ones. So this person, I think we've spoken before, they're just like, they're talking about my tattoos, they're curious, show and tell us about them, they look amazing, thank you. Plants, merman, oh, and here's my question, which one do you appreciate the most, visually and be more meaningfully? So I'm not going to strip on this video, but what I might do is either get a video or images of my different tattoos as I talk to them. So first one that you might be able to see on this arm, and I'll put a better picture here, is a nautical themed kind of 3/4 sleeve that I did, which is, and these are in no particular order in terms of when I got them done, by the way. I did this when I first moved to Norfolk, the area that I'm based now after London. And the meaning behind this one is because my father's side of the family, I only discovered recently, and I've always been very close to my father's side of the family, and this is something that completely eluded me. They used to work in shipping, many generations back as well. So the nautical theme is from them. I didn't want the traditional mermaid, so I got a merman, and that's why it's all the kind of nautical themes. And I'm from the Med, I miss the sea a bit. Like, it's really bizarre when you live in the UK, even though it's an island, it doesn't have an island feel. Maybe it's because of the size of it, the sheer size of it. But yeah, so I kind of miss that. Obviously, my other sleeve, which again, I'll put a picture here, which is all of the plants, and these are all plants that I have grown, was recent. And this is a full sleeve. This one was more kind of like, I've always wanted something to do with my plants, and it was really, the person who did it was amazing, Emma. But she's always done a lot of pictures for people, a lot of tattoos for people in terms of blooms. So I think she was very excited because she thought, oh, this is fun. And she was telling me, she said, there's going to be a lot of green on this. You know that, right? And I was like, yeah, it's foliage, plants predominantly. I will give you some plants that are colourful so we're not doing the same green everywhere. But in order to kind of break up some of that monotony, I think it came out spectacularly, and it's something that I wanted. So it has a lot of meaning for me, this one. Most of my tattoos have some meaning to me. Then I've got the one at the back of my neck, which I'll put a picture here, which started off. This is the only one that maybe didn't have a meaning for me. It didn't when it started. I just got it. I was very young when I got this, maybe 18, 19. And it was originally just the Om sign. I was really never into yoga. I enjoyed yoga, but I wasn't that. And then when I was getting my panic attacks, I went back because it was fading. I got it done in Camden Town for the people in the UK, they'll know. And I kind of added the kind of burning lotus underneath it. But that was after I was getting over my panic attacks. So then it became a bit more meaningful for me because it was more me coming into a bit more of a calm state of being after a prolonged period of what else? I've got my tramp stamp. That was my first tattoo ever, actually. I think I got that when I was 16, behind my parents' back. Don't do that. My tramp stamp is the Eye of Ra, basically. Mainly because, and the meaning behind that, believe it or not, for the meaning that I can put on a tramp stamp, is because, and to this day, I'm very much a believer in kind of the notion of possibly reincarnation. and having some connection to that. I've always, since I was a very small child, and I didn't know what it meant back then, it's only when I got older did it start making sense. I always had very vivid dreams of like ancient Egypt. And I've always been fascinated by it as well. So for whatever reason, I find a strong connection to that. And obviously, when I was growing up as a child in Cyprus, it's not very far away from Egypt as well. So that was that connection that I was kind of trying to bring in. After that, when I was 17, again, without my parents knowing, I got 2 massive angel wings at the back of my back. Do I want to get that redone? Yes. That was 15 hours of work though, so I don't know who's going to get it done and what would I do and how much would I cover it up. But yeah, don't do what I do, folks. What I did, folks, with that one, because I did it 3 days back to back with that tattoo artist. I swear, probably shouldn't have been tattooing me. It's the same one that gave me the Eye of Ra. It was mainly because they didn't ask for IDs, and that should have been a red flag. But I was a stupid teenage child. I did 5 hours one day, the next day I did another 5 hours, the next day I did another 5 hours. I was obliterated by the end of it in terms of pain and tiredness. But I got it done. So that links more into my kind of spirituality and kind of like my belief system. And no, I'm not necessarily a Christian. But I have a strong affinity to angels. Also, I'm a bit of a goth child as well, and I think I got the idea originally before everybody did it. I was one of the few first people that did it, I know, because there's so many people that did that. But the Crow, one of the Crow movies, one of the characters had it, and I'm just like, oh wow, I want that. And also my middle name is Angelo, so there you go. And I think the last tattoo then is the back of my calf. And that one I'm hoping to do another one that's matching on the other calf at some point, which is a geisha. I've also been fascinated for years in terms of the Japanese culture. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are just like, you all like what you see. No, trust me, I know a lot of the realities of what Japan is like and what the culture can be like. I did Japanese as a language for years. I've got an awful lot of Japanese friends and I want to know the reality more about it. But I got a geisha at the back of my leg. I know some of these things seem so like pedestrian now, and it's just everybody's got these things. Not when I first got them, they didn't. They do now. But that is a beautiful piece of work that was done on my leg by a tattoo artist called Jeff Ortega. Amazing person. And it's the first time I've seen him use skin tone to create white. It's really bizarre. You'll see from the picture, that geisha's face has not got any white colouring on it. It's just how everything else is shaded around it makes my skin tone, which is not particularly white, look very pale. So very, very cool. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question and all the pictures and everything as well. And I've got a last couple of questions. How are we doing on time? Oh wow, this is going to potentially be a long one. That's all right. That's all right. Right. Let me just do the final plant, because I always do this. I end up chatting towards the end and forget to do the very final thing. So one more caladium. This is the spring Flynn caladium, and this is the one that I really like because it's the one that's almost see-through. Really dark stems, and this one's come back with a vengeance this year. So definitely want to see if I can give it a bit more room to grow. But the next question is, it's kind of planty as well. How's the allotment going? They were saying they just got their veggies in the past weekend. They just got their veggies into the ground, I would imagine, in the past weekend. Cold spring to blame. I feel ya. The allotment is going well. I will be doing an update video on the allotment very, very, very soon. Because I know some people want to watch it, and I'll see if I can do an extra video that week, because I know it's not for everybody, and you're not here to watch me talk about garden plants or even allotments, and I got that hint by how many people don't watch those vegetable videos. Yeah, it's doing well. It's doing well though. And got no complaints. Got a lot of things in. What I did this year, which I am definitely going to do again next year, is I got one of those really cheapy kind of flimsy greenhouses with like the plastic kind of covering, and I put it in a room in the house that's not being used for anything at the moment, and I grew a lot of my seedlings in there. And when I tell you, I should have probably started things a bit later, because I was putting sunflowers in the ground that were already 1.5 meters tall. That was an example, but no, it's doing well. It's doing well. For my sins, it's getting busy there as well, so I need to like find the times. I'm back at the time of the year now where my wake up is about 4:30 a.m. 4:30 or 5. 5 might be a lie-in for me at the moment. And I start watering my plants, and I then have got so yeah, water my plants, then I will go to take Duke to the allotment, deal with the chickens, possibly deal with some care that the allotment might need there as well, then come back. Hopefully I've already watered all my house plants in the morning before any of this happens, and I'll come back and I'll water and care for the garden before my day starts with all my clients at 9 a.m. So I've done a full day's work usually for most people before I've even started my actual work. So yeah, crazy time of the year, but I do miss it when it's winter and then it comes and I'm just like, why did I miss this? Because I've got no downtime now. So yeah, and that's why it's really important that I do things like repots with me when I'm doing videos like this, because guess what? 2 birds, 1 stone. It's great. So yes, that one is also in. But yes, hopefully your veggies will pick up really soon and you'll get like loads of explosive growth as well. It's always so much fun when the allotment kind of starts kicking off again. And I've had some harvest already. My strawberries I've harvested from the polytunnel at the allotment. Also some courgettes already. Ground cherries have gone in. Ooh, I can put some pictures of the ground cherries because they're doing well as well. But yeah, really, really good at the moment. And I've just realized before I go to the last question, and it's not a question, it's more of a comment, there was a couple of, how did I miss them? Did I miss a couple of questions? Because you know when you just like, I remember reading them, but I don't remember addressing them. Yes, there is one more, sorry. So somebody was talking about me talking a bit more about gardening. Hopefully that gives you a bit more of an update. And I think I've talked about gardening generally in this. Also, I keep talking about pets that I have. They said they know about, there's a dog. So yeah, that's Duke. But what exactly are the other ones? Unless they're spiders and then they don't want to know. I don't have a spider, so you're fine. So I have got Duke, which is the Labrador Retriever. And I have also got 2 lizards, one being Spike, the crested gecko, and the other one being Drusilla, the bearded dragon. And I think that's the pets at home. Theoretically, the chickens are the pets as well, so there's 5 chickens, 2 Brahmas, one is Tallulah, the other one is Jolene, 2 Silkies, one is Gracie Lou, as in Gracie Lou Freebush, the other one is Delilah, and 1 Polish, which is Blanche, as in Blanche Devereaux, and it is the Southern Bells. Thank you for whoever it was that came up with that name as a collective on this channel, because that has brought me no amount of joy, because I was going to go for Southern names. I quite like that. So yes, those are all the pets. I don't have a spider. I don't think I'm going to get a spider. I've never been fascinated by spiders. I would love to get a snake. However, most of my friends and family do not like snakes, so a lot of them are just like, we're never coming to see you if you get a snake. I'm just like, okay then. So, but yeah, so those are the pets. Did I get everything? Mycorrhizal. Apologies if I've missed your question. I have a sneaky suspicion that I've missed one, and I do apologise. But if not, then hopefully I haven't. Yeah, and the last comment was not a question, but just really wanted to say thank you for the last video. It was super helpful. That's great to hear. That is really, really... I don't think I've ever really talked about how much comments like that mean to me, especially because I don't know how you all manage to do that. And when those comments come in, it's usually when I've had a really hard day at work or it's been a really tough week generally, and I get those comments in and I'm just like, oh, it makes it worth it. And it makes the kind of long hours of editing, filming over the weekends, kind of worth it. As long as I feel like I'm helping people out there, or at least they're enjoying the content, it makes it all super, super worth it. But yes, I've prattled on enough, and I think the camera battery is about to die now. So I shall let you be right there. If I have missed your question and you are that person, please drop me a DM or put it in the comments down below, and I will promise I will answer it. I'm so sorry. You know when you're just like niggling thing, I'm just like, did I forget? I have a sneaky suspicion, but hopefully I haven't. But yes, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully I shall see you here soon. And I truly, truly hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.